You guys remember Tetris? It's that puzzle game all about falling blocks, and at one point it was the best-selling video game of all time. Well, across all of its releases anyway. How about Minecraft? Everybody knows about Minecraft at least. It's also a game that can be about falling blocks, if that's what you want it to be about, but you could really make it about anything. It's kind of comparable to Legos. You could build anything, but it has more of a pixelated art style, I guess. Ever since the game's huge rise in popularity, not too long after its initial release back in 2009, it's overtaken Tetris and it's currently the best-selling video game. It's gotten numerous releases across tons of consoles and even mobile phones. The original Minecraft for PC was changed to Minecraft Java Edition after these console versions died out in favor of the new, almighty, cross-platform Bedrock version. I can go on and on about why the original Java Edition beats out Bedrock in many aspects, but that's not really what this video is about. Today we'll be moving away from the standard review videos I've been doing as of late to talk about one of my favorite games in depth. There's definitely a lot I'll be touching on, so it's best you watch the video with at least a vague understanding of what Minecraft is, which I'm kinda sure you already have, but yeah. If I went super in depth with literally everything, this video would just be way too long. Without further ado, let's begin. Like 8 years ago, I walked into my brother's room and I saw this weird game I'd never seen before. All I really played up to this point was some GameCube and PS2 and stuff, so to see such a unique looking game on a computer fascinated me. He told me about the game, and despite the fact that I didn't have a computer to use myself at the time, I searched the App Store on my old iPod Touch and there it was. I sucked at the game. Hell, I distinctly remember on my first day playing I didn't know how to craft anything. I was mining coal with a piece of flint, wondering why I wasn't getting any coal for breaking the blocks. I had to look up some videos online to really figure out how to play the game, and eventually I had it all down. Later on, I remember having some huge underground base right at bedrock level, fully decked out with like diamond armor and stuff. Keep in mind, however, that at the time, the mobile version of Minecraft, fittingly called Pocket Edition, was missing many features from its PC counterpart. No Ender Dragon, no Wither, not even a Nether. We did have the Nether Reactor core that spawned a huge tower of netherrack with some nether and other miscellaneous items spawning all about, but that was it. It was really strange looking back, but still pretty interesting. I unfortunately can't really get footage of this old version, let alone the world I've been referring to, which is unfortunate. I started to slow down with playing Pocket Edition sometime around update 0.9. I feel spoiled with all of the new features we have today. Infinite worlds, tons of biomes, etc. There weren't even caves in the old Pocket Edition, which is pretty baffling. You just had to rely entirely on strip mining. No sprinting either, at least the world size was limited though, so you never really had to travel too terribly far. I had fun playing this version of Minecraft. The multiplayer was fun, I loved building up from the very bottom in survival mode, and building whatever the hell I wanted in creative mode. I remember one of the first things I made in creative was just some random brick platform with torches in the corners and like glass in the middle. Why? I don't know. Pocket Edition was fun and all, but I did begin to grow tired of its shortcomings, especially after I started to see a lot of videos on YouTube all about the main version of Minecraft on PC. I eventually got my hands on it, and it's still the version I mainly play to this very day. I started playing this one around update like 1.5, I'm nearly certain. This was the update where they added redstone. I remember being so hyped for the next one, 1.6, where they were going to add horses. Looking back, the update was pretty underwhelming, but it still has a pretty special place in my heart. And hey, they at least made it so you can no longer break blocks with swords in creative mode, which is a small but really great fix. In the future updates, they added new types of wood to really expand on building possibilities, new mobs to add to the already iconic ones, and even an entirely new combat system, which I know people are really divided on, but I'm actually a pretty big fan of the new combat system. Before, all you really had to do was just run up to a mob and spam your left click. Now you have to swipe, move back, shield, and wait a bit for the little sword icon to fill up. It's just a tiny bit more depth to add to a once overly simple combat system, and I like it. I do really love a lot of these additions, but there is a little more I'd like to see. Maybe you can combine dye with a bucket to get some buckets of paint. Maybe you could use it to color wood and lights maybe? It would add so many more cool possibilities you have with building structures in creative mode, and it could help separate houses from one another even if they're using the same type of wood. And speaking of buckets, maybe you can use them in brewing in the place of glass bottles. Filling up these buckets with different types of potions would allow the player to make pools of different effects. The coolest idea I can think of for this is if you made some type of poisonous swamp water with the poison potion. I don't know. Simple stuff like that could be really cool in things like adventure maps and such. Speaking of that, adventure maps. I've been making these for a really long time, and it's always been one of my favorite things to do in Minecraft. Originally, I would just make really simple ones for myself in Pocket Edition, but when I learned a bit more about command blocks, I started to make these more complicated maps on PC. These more closely resembled actual separate video games with varied environments and objectives. I've always been kind of into game design, not really building them from scratch with code and stuff, but more so designing the levels that mask the code. Getting a bit off topic here, I used to draw out levels on paper and then create these characters with their own unique backstories and stuff to play around in the level with. Minecraft kinda gave me an opportunity to bring this to life, and to this day I still toy around with different ambitious ideas when I decide to make a map, even though I rarely finish them. And looking back, the only one I did finish kinda sucked. You don't just have to build stuff like this in creative mode though. I've honestly probably played more survival mode. There's also two more modes, hardcore and spectator, but hardcore is just survival, but ooh, if you die it's over, spooky. And then there's spectator, you just fly around and that's it. Anyway, survival mode. I couldn't even tell you how many survival worlds I've made, at least 100. If you're a veteran of the channel, you might even remember my really old multiplayer survival let's play, and it was not very good.
Oh my gosh!
Working my way up from the very bottom in a survival world is really satisfying. From punching a tree, to building an awesome house, and finally getting your hands on that full netherite armor, there's no shortage of fun to be had. And I never find myself without anything to do. It's a game that I can never really get bored of, which isn't really something I could say about any other game I've ever played. It's a game that gets your creative juices flowing, whether you're building shit, crafting shit, exploring a forest, fighting enemies, hunting for treasure, taming animals to be your pets, and much more. The possibilities are seemingly endless. You don't even have to play in a standard world. You can go to an online server and play games with other people online. It's pretty damn fun. You can't talk about Minecraft without bringing up the music, done by C418. I honestly had it off for years, and so I've never heard much of the game's music. Turning it on for my recent time playing the game really made me realize just what I was missing out on. Relaxing and atmospheric music. It really adds to the experience, and I don't have plans to turn it back off anytime soon. There are also, of course, the normal music discs you can get by having a skeleton kill a creeper. Pretty tricky to pull off unless you make some sort of contraption for it. Let's get into the nether, which is, well, hell. Crimson red grounds, dark structures, fire and lava, and intimidating enemies. The most intimidating of which being the wither skeletons. It's not even just because they give you the wither effect which slowly drains your health, but it's also because you'll be running around this damn fortress trying to get their skulls for hours. This is always the low point of survival worlds for me. If you didn't know, wither skeleton skulls are needed to summon one of the main bosses in the game, the wither. But these skulls are such a rare drop from these guys. If you have looting on your sword, it does kind of help, but I still have bad luck even when I've got that enchantment. That's not to say enchantments don't help out though. The first thing I always enchant is my diamond pickaxe. Fortune 3 is by far the most important enchantment for the tool in my opinion. You can get tons of ore with it slapped onto your pickaxe. It's especially helpful for making your diamond armor for the endgame since you're really gonna need it for the two main bosses. The first boss, the Wither, which we've already touched upon, is the most intimidating and actually harder one in my opinion. You've really gotta have regeneration potions and golden apples if you want to get through it, because he deals tons of damage. What's more intimidating in my opinion though, is the fact that he could possibly destroy your world. I always spawn him in a cave, but even if you do that, he might dig his way back up or find a way out of the cave. If he does that, you better hope you're far from home, because he can destroy your house pretty easily. Like the Wither, the final boss needs mob drops as well. Endermen will sometimes drop ender pearls. These are cool items on their own, putting you right where you throw them, but you're gonna want to hold on to them until you can combine them with some blaze powder, which will turn them into eyes of ender. You follow these to the stronghold and insert them into the portal, which leads you to the end. This is where you encounter the ender dragon. Climb the obsidian towers, destroy the crystals he uses to heal, then go all out and hit him with arrows and a sword. Boom, dead. The credit sequence for the game is pretty interesting. It's like the game is talking to the player about their experience or something. I don't know, I kinda like it. Right after the credits, you're put back at your last spawn point. Minecraft does have a final boss and all, but it never ends, really. And the post-Ender Dragon content has always been one of my favorite parts of a survival world. If you go back to the end and go through this weird floating portal tile, you'll end up deeper in the end. As you explore these cool floating islands which you can traverse between most efficiently using ender pearls from the surrounding endermen, you'll find chorus fruit, which is pretty neat. It teleports you to a nearby location with everyone that you eat. More interestingly, however, you can find these end cities. The shulker enemies will send you flying into the air, but if you take them out and use their remains along with a chest, you can craft what is essentially a backpack. Put some items inside of it, dye it whatever color you want, and then break it. You can carry all of your items inside of it while just using one of your inventory spots. Cool shit. If you look high enough in your end city, you could even find a floating ship, which not only has a cool dragon head that I like to put alongside the egg you get for defeating it, but it also contains possibly the coolest item in the game, the Elytra. Elytra? Oh, fucking whatever. You can use it to glide around, and if you have fireworks, you can use it to boost in the air, to fly anywhere you want. It's just so fun to play around with. Minecraft in general is fun to play around with. No matter what I'm doing in it, it's just such a fun, replayable game that'll never be stale to me. Over the past decade or so, Minecraft has gained more traction than at least most other video games. With official handbooks which acted as player's guides in specific areas like building and combat, an entire series of novels spanning multiple different authors, tons of weird bootleg games imitating the Minecraft style in an attempt to try to cash in on the hype, and literal millions of YouTube videos displaying others' experiences with the game. Minecraft is truly a game that brings a lot of people together. Besides very few shortcomings, it's honestly kind of hard for me to pinpoint things that are wrong with Minecraft. Trust me, I'm not one to believe in the perfect game, but Minecraft comes very close to that mark. It was really fun looking back on Minecraft for this video. I've always held it near and dear to my heart, and from the moment I started making videos regularly on the channel, I just knew I had to make a video on this. If you enjoyed, leave a like and tell me about your experience with Minecraft. Also make sure you subscribe and turn on notifications because I'll be making some more videos not too long from now. Hopefully I'll see you all again soon. Bye.